Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Do you know what I have to resort to when you drink all the coffee?
Oh, wham, wham, wham. Poor baby has to drink tea.
Yeah, I'm almost sounding like a snowflake in Croatia right now, ain't I?
I know, it's hard to take this seriously. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to be covering that. And before we do that, we have a couple of mentions. JW Updates, he has done a couple of videos now about what is continuing to go on in the UK. Now, we had covered the Kingdom Hall Trust Fund along with several others a couple of years ago.
Yes.
But JW Updates, he is covering the latest of, how they're just coming in and taking over all of these properties and Kingdom Halls. Also, Alt Worldly, A-L-T Worldly, he has done a great video about the love letter he got. And also Jehovah's Witness Beliefs Discussed. And I'm sure by the time our video is up, many might be doing videos of their own.
And there's a couple others out there, Christiane, your video on catching the rings, the Freemason rings. And also I think it's XJW Arizona. Yes, friend, there's a lot going on. And the murder-suicide in Smurf Girl's family should be discussed. And once again, when it comes to Freemason stuff, this channel for many, many, many years has been covering the connection between Watchtower and Freemasonry. And there's a lot of dots to be connected. Yes, now Christiane has showed the ring on both Toni Morris and my favorite little clown, Let. So what Kim and I have been saying about this for years now proves us right, doesn't it, friends? See, when you have the amount of material that we have on Freemasonry, including their Bible, their temple Bible, when it even states that the name Jehovah is the most sacred word, the cat's out of the bag.
And I want to mention that I was on the phone for 3 hours with an investigative reporter the other day, and I'm not going to mention her state or anything because I know there are some people that are trying to discredit us and shut us down.
Right.
But it was very interesting, the information, that she had about Jehovah's Witnesses in her local area. And so, we're in contact now and sharing, information with one another. And because she does have a security clearance working for a branch of the federal government, she's able to get documents and stuff. And so, I'm trying to educate her on Watchtower.
And a few other connecting dots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I can just imagine somebody looking at this video and hearing what you just said and say, who are these people? Who are you?
Yeah, exactly. Now, most of you know that many of us got a love letter from Cedars.
Branch Lloyd Vidians.
The cult leader of the Lloyd Vidians.
The cult leader.
Yeah. Now, I want to mention, I think we lost count at about 10 to 12 people that have gotten these letters. And I'm sure those that haven't, it's only because they can't find their email. And yes, this was transferred to us by email. And so we're going to be covering a few things on here. Now, first I want to mention, all of you that did get letters, breathe. It will be okay.
Don't anybody get excited but me.
Yeah, nobody get excited except for Mike. But not because he's fearing the litigation.
Oh, exactly.
Okay, now I want to mention, okay, let me find my screen here. Now, according to this letter, they are using Croatian law. Now, all of you who are not in Croatia who received this, listen. Like I said, relax. We are not under Croatian law. You are under the law in your country, okay? So remember that. In order for litigation to be done to any of us, especially here in the United States, that means that he would have to hire a lawyer in the state of New Mexico and then file the lawsuit in our county. And it has to be fought in our county. Now, if he wants to take it this far, bring it on. Because we will be filing a counter lawsuit for defamation, libel, slander, doxing us, mental anguish, and any other thing that we can throw out at him. And I think about $10,000 in damages and mental anguish. And let's also, that our daughter would be helping us with this lawsuit, and she would be suing him for as much as she could for her PTSD. And she has all of the, emails and messages and stuff to prove it. Now, if we're going to follow Croatian law, well then we have to mention New Mexico law that he would be under when he comes here.
See, now, bear in mind, friends, okay, and I want you to pay particular attention, Lloydy boy. When Watchtower gave us those 9 copyright strikes, those that were following that situation, what did I do? I got in front of the camera and I said, bring it. Bring it. Why? Because we knew that Watchtower would have to fight it in our county. And I don't even need to hire a lawyer because truth is on our side.
Yeah, and the thing is because of our crazy neighbor, we're basically on a first name basis and know all the judges and everybody in the sheriff's department. And knowing our conservative county, they don't like big lawyers from the city coming in and telling them what to do.
Well, what that translates into is that they don't like snowflake lawyers.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is, truth would be on our side.
Right.
And I'm going to go through the letter as far as, evidence against me. Well, I think the biggest evidence against you would be your own live stream where you admit to all of this. And so when you made that statement on social media that what Kim Silvio said was mostly false, no, you admitted to most of it.
And don't think for one moment, Lloydy boy, that live stream wasn't captured.
Oh yeah, all of us had it.
Because now it becomes evidence and any type of pursuant that you feel necessary to do, because the state of New Mexico has got the same type of law that Croatia has.
Yeah, so let me read this New Mexico state law. 30-3A-2 defines harassment as below.
Because this is what we used in objection to Watchtower.
Yeah. Harassment consists of knowingly pursuing a pattern of conduct that is intended to annoy, seriously alarm, or terrorize another person and that serves no lawful purpose. You mean like what you've been doing to us for the past 9 years?
Exactly.
This conduct must be such that it would cause a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress. And I've got the screenshots and emails and messages to prove it.
Well, look at the emotional distress he caused in the community with his propaganda hit piece the day after, referring to that Russian ban, when you manufactured propaganda by taking us out of context. The distress you caused in this community caused fellow activists to take their channels down. So don't think for 1 minute, Lloyd, that you're going to be able to walk over these two in some stupid, fraudulent attempt at committing fraud.
Well, it's extortion.
Extortion.
According to the U.S. statutes, this is extortion, and they have used email to propagate this crime.
Yeah, the email delivery system. It's a legal term. So what he's trying to do, friends, is he's trying to extort you.
Now, getting back to the day after the Russian ban, since he used clips of many of us and took us out of context, and he actually says that we all want, Jehovah's Witnesses imprisoned and banned and beaten and all of this, and goes through the whole list. I am recommended to everybody who is in that video to file a complaint with YouTube, because since the problem we've been having with the political issues here in this country, they have a new category about misinformation.
Fake news.
Yeah. And so you can file a complaint for misinformation and taking us out of context. And if he gets 3 or more copyright strikes, then his channel is gone. Now, this isn't us doing this. This is using everything at our means that he is using to throw at us. Okay? Now.
Hey, I think Forrest Gump is the one that said, "Stupid is as stupid does."
Yeah. And you have to try to realize, who does this benefit? Him and Watchtower.
And Watchtower.
Yeah. Can you imagine if all of us had filed litigation or a warning letter to him? Oh my God, he would be crying on social media and YouTube.
He already is.
Yeah, I know it. And that's why I've been loving what's going on over on Twitter. Oh my goodness, he is just getting mocked. My goodness. In fact, Jake, sweetie, outwardly, love you. My goodness, so funny. But, you know, sorry to hear about your health problems, but relax. He would have to come to your state to sue you, and the truth is in your corner.
The truth is in all our corners.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so you can imagine how many lawyers he would have to hire to go to everybody's country and province and state, you know, to file these lawsuits. No.
And the biggest thing is we have an attempt at extortion.
Yeah.
That would, every judge, every lawyer can see that this is just an attempt at extortion. Keep that word in your mind, friends, because that's what this is. This is an attempt at extortion.
Yeah, and anybody who is helping him propagate this, you're just as guilty.
You're just as liable in a court of law.
Yeah. Now, I want to thank our dear friend who has a legal background for, you know, reading, taking the time. Thank you, sweetie, for taking the time to read this and getting back to us with your opinion on this. Interesting letter from L.E.'s attorney. The wording is not like a demand letter in that it uses language such as, "we invite you to pay." And once all of you who've gotten this love letter, you know, calm down and reread it with a logical thinking, you know, mind in the view of legalities, okay? They didn't say, "we demand payment." No, "we invite you to pay." Now, I want to mention, too, that if the lawyer only speaks Croatian and used a translating software program, it was a really bad program, because, I mean, there's so many errors in here, grammar errors, you know, punctuation. I mean, the very first letter of this letter should be capitalized, and it's not. And several other places where it's not needed to be capitalized, it's capitalized. And just the wording, you know, like at the end, "please contact us every working day from 9 to 5 p.m. Croatian time." So, you know, this letter is very questionable. Now, the reason I bring this up is because when we sent Lloydy boy his cease and desist letter when he doxed us and had, you know, the New Mexico government form with all of our information on his website, we hired a lawyer to send him a cease and desist. Now, before that went out to him, I was given a copy of it and said, you know, authorize this, you know, and let me know if this is ready to go out. Well, there were several things in there. It's like, no, this isn't right. And so, you know, I said, okay, why don't we just say this? And then it's like, okay, well, you know, then he sent it back to me and says, okay, how does this sound? See, the point I'm making is the client, when you are paying a lawyer, the client has to okay before it is sent out. Obviously, they do things differently in Croatia, because I can't imagine a couple who has a translating company, you know, JLE Services, you would allow something like this to go out, because, I mean, this becomes a laughing stock.
Well, it is. It is a laughing stock. It truly is a laughing stock, but the reality is this is hard evidence that can be used in anybody's state, anybody's country, if you remember to use the word attempted extortion. The guy is a criminal.
So if you paid good money for this, and I know you're watching our video, so if you paid good money for this, you should get it back.
Yeah.
All right, so at the top it says warning letter. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Brooks, we are contacting you as legal representatives of Mr. Lloyd Evans and this following to the defamation campaign that you're participating in for the last over a month against Mr. Evans on social networks.
For the last over a month?
Now, the first thing is that we haven't posted or said anything that wasn't already out there. And I know I'm getting the blame for creating certain things against him, okay? I've had 3 separate computer people verify that I did receive this information from somebody over in Eastern Europe. And I'm not going to say from what area, okay? So just know that I have that evidence. And I will be happy to submit it to the court for them to do their own forensic analysis. Okay, back to the letter. Namely through your social networks channel on YouTube, Kim Mikey, and Twitter on a daily basis. Okay, right there, that is a lie. Prove that I did this daily. Prove that, okay? So this is another libel. Starting from January 31st, 2022. Okay, on January 31st, 2022, I didn't have my Twitter account. So there's another,
False information, fake news.
You presented, transmitted, and made public a series of false, insulting, defamatory, and fabricated allegations about Mr. Evans, for which allegations you have absolutely no evidence. Oh yes, I have evidence. I have a lot of evidence because everything that I posted was either stuff that I had personally, like screenshots, or emails from him directly, or things that he posted publicly on his own social media.
Right.
And I will reiterate, his live stream of him admitting to all of this is our biggest form of evidence against this.
And don't forget, Lloydy boy, the leader of cult Lloydians, we have that video where you made a series of false, insulting, defamatory, and fabricated allegations regarding us ex-Jehovah's Witnesses in your propaganda hit piece. We have that. That will be used in a court of law in a counter lawsuit against you. That's evidence, Lloyd, that you did yourself.
And I have several screenshots of where he was announcing back in 2017 on his own social media that we were the ones calling him a pervo, a pedophile. No, we never did. I have the original post from John Smith. See, we never said that. John Smith is the one that originally brought that out, and then Marco. Whether you want to believe Marco is, real or not. Somebody posted that back in 2017. It wasn't us. So, that is the thing. By the described behavior and public appearances, you have already caused and continue to cause significant damage to Mr. Evans personally in the form of violations of his rights of personality, mental health, reputation, honor, dignity, name, privacy of personal and family life, as well as to his family and business. Hey, now, right there. When he doxed us back in 2014, I think it was, it had all of our information, including our physical address and phone number. We were getting death threats. He put our family in danger. And it took Mark Latham to contact him and said, look, you've got to take this information down. You're putting their family in danger. And between that and the cease and desist letter from our lawyer, he finally took it down. But then he cried like a big baby, So what damage has he done to our family for the past 9 years? He hasn't felt any remorse, about damaging our reputation, all the horrible things he's said about us over on social media. Oh, they're just tinfoil hat crazy people, nutters, conspiracy theorists, and all the degrading and defamatory things he has said and done about us.
And you and your cohorts, including Mark O'Donnell, will also be named as subject if we decide to pursue this. But I find this funny. His honor, Lloyd, you have no honor. You have no dignity. Privacy of personal and family life. You exposed all that yourself by saying me and my wife are not sexually compatible. Nobody here said that but you, knucklehead.
Oh my God!
I mean, this
obviously, he did not tell his lawyer that he did a public video that all of us have, and that we're just going off of what he had already published to the whole world. This is going to be laughed right out of court.
It's going to be laughed out of any court.
Going on. Hence, on behalf of Mr. Evans, we urge you, capital,
yeah,
to stop conducting this defamation campaign without delay. Permanently remove all materials published so far in social networks and publish a public apology through your channels on social networks to Mr. Evans and his family, acknowledging the unfoundedness of all allegations, all that within period no longer than 10 days from the receipt of the letter. Do you know what's interesting about the wording of this? Is if you watch Jake Alt-Worldly's, he has clips of the video that Cedars did where he is reading a letter almost exactly like this that he got from Watchtower, and he's crying like a baby over that.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and does it to so many in this community. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, you know what I found extremely laughable about that paragraph? I'm going to just reread it and, kind of like, do what Branch Lloyd Vidian does. Pick apart every single little boring word. Hence, on behalf of Mr. Evans, we urge you to stop conducting this defamation campaign without delay. He destroyed himself. Permanently remove all materials. See, that's what Lloyd wants, is he wants everybody to remove this stuff so that any waking up Jehovah from this point forward will not go on and type in Lloyd Evans scandal or anything with Lloyd Evans, because that's what he accomplished the last time he did this over his propaganda hit piece. He managed to get rid of everybody but us and a couple others, or at least take down those videos so that any waking up Jehovah Witness would go, oh look, Lloyd, you're the voice for me. I'm incapable of speaking on my own, so I need you to do it. Oh, by the way, let me become a Patreon so that I can tithe to you, which is another level of multi-marketing.
Okay, going on. Furthermore, having in mind the gross violation of rights of personality which have been caused by your actions, we only used your own admissions, dude.
God.
Both against Mr. Evans and members of his family, as well as the damage caused to his business, we hereby invite you to pay $8,000 euros. Now, I find it interesting that most people who got this letter, it was only 3,000 euros.
Well, you know what? I find this really, really befuddling, really cringeworthy, because nowhere in our letter does it say anything about ceasing and stopping any leaking any more emails from this Marco. You would think, since Kim admitted that she has 78 pages, several years of dialogue between her and Marco, us and Marco, that Lloyd would make a conscious effort to make sure that none of that ever got leaked again. But no, not one single solitary mention of any leaked emails from Marco. How did you, John, since you're such a brilliant thinker, since you can process all of this simultaneously, how you forgot that? I wouldn't have.
So going on to the letter, this is in bold and underlined for emphasis. Finally, we would like to point out that there is a reasonable suspicion that there are elements of several criminal deeds in your conduct. Prove it. Prove it.
Criminal.
In particular, the criminal deed of insult, prescribed by Article 147 of the Criminal Code of the Republic of Croatia. Okay, now I will mention again, we are not under Croatian law.
Right.
And the criminal deed of insult, here in this country, we have a little something called the Constitution and freedom of speech. If you put something out on social media, and I will repeat and emphasize, you put out on social media, and then all of us start mocking you and doing videos and exposing it, guess what? Not a thing you can do about it because
right.
You put it out there.
You. See, isn't this interesting? Just like Watchtower, he's going to reverse everything. When Watchtower says that the Catholic Church is hiding CAA and moving pedophile priests from parish to parish, Watchtower's doing it. Look at what he's stating. Everything you should be reviewing and looking at it from reverse mirror image, because everything that he's accusing us of doing is exactly what he has done.
Yeah. Now I wanted to go back to our friend's analysis on this because, you know, she's got some really good points. The attorney cites Croatian law, so I would presume from that citation that he is thinking that Croatia is the venue for prosecution. But toward the beginning of his letter, the attorney states that you made public L.E.'s alleged indiscretions. It was my understanding that it was L.E.'s lawyer friend, Kim Silvio, who was the one who actually made public all of L.E.'s indiscretions. And people in the XJW community repeated what they heard from Kim Silvio. And I will repeat that she's been really busy and I don't know if she had a chance to watch his live stream. So right. I sent her the link and said, you know, in case you haven't seen it, he admits it himself. At this point, it doesn't matter what Kim Silvio said.
It becomes a moot point.
It doesn't matter because of what he admitted himself. And a little beyond admitting, like, TMI, dude. TMI. You're the one that made that public.
Just so that, you know, nobody is misinterpreting anything here. Hey, Lloyd, I watched you move your wedding band from your ring finger to your pinky finger.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Freemasons do when they achieve another level in the lodge?
Or I happen to know that gay men do that.
Gay men do that too. So
yeah.
There was a lot of things that maybe not everybody caught, but we did.
Yeah, or like when he's crying down like this and he looks up to make sure his camera's still on.
Camera's still on.
Yeah, propaganda.
Yep.
Okay, going on. It would be very costly and time-consuming for L.E. to bring an action against anyone overseas. He'd have to have some pretty deep pockets to afford that. And that's like what I said. He would have to come to your state and hire a lawyer in your state, you know, for all of us.
You mean Donald Trump type deep pockets?
Or the Bidens.
Yeah, or the Bidens deep pocket.
I wonder if his patrons, or the Clintons,
or the Clintons.
Yeah. I wonder if his patrons would approve of supporting that effort. It's kind of like the JW donations going for legal fees without the members knowing it, to answer all of the child sex abuse claims that were filed with the courts. So thank you, sweetie, very much, you know, for that information. And I've talked to 2 other lawyers. They don't, you know, they're not from this country, but it's basically the same for most others, especially when it comes to an overseas litigation.
Right.
And, you know, the thing is for all of you who did get the love letters, you know, just stop and think about it, and then just think of what kind of evidence you would have against him.
Right.
And you can file a counter lawsuit.
Counter lawsuit.
And you don't even have to hire a lawyer.
Right.
You know, most of this can be handled. All you have to do is present the evidence to the court. You know, the court clerks, you know, at least in our county, are amazing.
They're pretty bright.
You know, they will help me file paperwork against our neighbor, you know, because I had to get a restraining order against him back in like 2010, I think it was, or something like that. And they help me with everything.
Right.
You know, they can't help you fill it out, but they can guide you and answer questions.
Right.
So, you know, don't worry. You know, this would take an awful lot of money, especially when you come to the United States to hire a lawyer, because I know the lawyer we hired to do that cease and desist, it was $200 an hour to write a letter and send it, and then, you know, postal costs and stuff like that. So,
Well, no, but you don't hear us whining and crying about how much it costs us to go after Lloyd, how much money we lost.
well, the thing is too, is
God
my daughter has a long medical medical health bill, because, you know, when she first started seeing a therapist, she was diagnosed with PTSD, and the first thing she started talking about is not only was she in a cult, but then, you know, when she left, of how she was attacked on social media by, you know, Cedars in his group, and she's got screenshots for all of that.
Cedars and the Flying Monkeys.
Yeah. And so, you know, she would actually have evidence of suing for, you know, all of her medical bills now. So think about that before you come after us, and how many others anguish and, you know, trauma and harassment and annoyance you're causing all of us.
And just let's contextualize this for a moment with a multi-level cult. The Patreon is no different in the context of a cult or a religion than tithing. It's no different. I mean, stop and think about what Christians do for just a moment. See, why do these Christians go to this church? Well, because Jesus is my Savior. I'm a sinner. I'm nobody without Jesus. Save, we pray, Jesus. But when you leave that church, you've also been exploited of what's in your wallet, because they make you believe. They make you believe that you're nothing without this Jesus man. Lloyd Evans is doing the same thing. Look, I'm broken, we're all broken. And then the tithing on Patreon started. Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
And the thing is he brought everybody down to his level.
Exactly.
And that is what religious cult leaders do.
That's what cult leaders do. They bring you down to that moment of disparity. I'm nothing because Watchtower told me I'm no good. Watchtower broke all of us. No, Watchtower didn't do that. The Apostle Paul did that in some of his scriptures. All Watchtower did was capitalize on it. And that's all this knucklehead has done too. He's already capitalized on that button that's in your head that makes you think, I'm no good without Lloyd Evans. I'm no good without Jesus.
So the point being to all of this is just stop and think. If you believe that he's going to take down Watchtower,
Yeah.
you know, we all say no. Okay? He does not save anybody. The individual saves themselves by taking in this information and leaving and, you know, applying it in their lives and, you know, learning to have a normal life outside of the religion. Nobody saves anybody.
That's right.
That person takes that information and saves themselves. It's the person that does that. Okay?
Right.
Now remember that. You don't need a savior. You don't have to pay somebody because you think they're going to take down Watchtower. And think about this. Do you really think he's going to be able to take down Watchtower now with this type of reputation that he has damaged himself? The minute he got on that plane to Thailand and started taking pictures and it accidentally got sent back to his iCloud devices to everybody else, he did this.
Yeah.
Not anybody else.
Stop thinking that he has credibility, because that credibility's been flushed right down the loo.
With all of these hundreds of videos about him now, do you really think that any Waking Up Jehovah Witness anybody at Watchtower, any of us ex-JWs can possibly take him seriously now?
You can't.
No. I can't even stand to look at his face because every time I see that face, it's like, oh my God, where has it been?
Well, not only that, think about the optics of this, okay? Think about the optics, okay? Every time I at least see an XJW with that big old black microphone sticking right here, do you friends recognize that that microphone is an object of attention and an object of sit down, shut up because the microphone's been adjusted? I better give my full attention to that microphone because that's what Watchtower's done to all of us.
It's a symbol of authority, just like a suit and tie.
Exactly.
You know, somebody mentioned in a video, oh, you know, the XJW community, you don't have your hair combed, you need to wear a suit and tie. No, that is mock-worthy too.
That's church propaganda.
Yeah, that is an elder telling everybody what to do, and you know what we think about that?
Yeah.
So, you know, just stop and think, you know, when you are giving anybody money, and we've been warning people, don't give anyone, you know, if they give you sad stories, don't believe it. We have been taken advantage of for 9 years. I could do hours and hours of videos talking about people who have lied and taken advantage of us. And, you know, we don't beg for money. We don't ask for money.
Well, in fact, I think the only thing that we've ever asked for is just let the commercials play and let the commercial world give us those little tips, so that little bit of income that just pays our what, electric bill and
our insurance.
And our insurance. That's it.
We're happy with that. And you know, we've lost a lot of subscribers. Fine.
Fine.
I don't care. I don't care.
We don't care because numbers do not make you the most prominent XJW. Numbers mean nothing.
Yeah.
To us.
And if you want to believe somebody's subscription numbers of, you know, oh, look at how prominent they are, just look at their views. Look at the number of views some of these videos are getting. It's not does not match the subscriber amount. And I know a lot of our subscribers have admitted to us, you know, I'm sorry, I don't watch your videos anymore. I'm still subscribed, but I don't watch your videos anymore because I've moved on with my life and I don't even want to hear Watchtower crap. We get that. We understand that. To be honest, I can't even stand to listen to JW broadcasting anymore myself or, you know, stuff like that because it's like I don't have time. I'm not going to spend hours and hours listening to this stuff when I have so much other things to do. You know, we're trying to build our side business so that it can support us. And so, to be honest, we don't have time for all of this nonsense. So, you know, just think about that in our counter lawsuit, if Cedars wants to bring this to New Mexico, the damage that has been done to our reputation and our business because of time we have to take away from all this other stuff to deal with all of this nonsense. So, he wants a public apology. Our family wants a public apology. And we know we're not going to get it because narcissists will not apologize for the damage they have done. Yeah. They want to play the victim. And there's many videos on YouTube by experts. Just type in how to deal with a narcissist.
It's all there. It's like I've said before, in today's world, ignorance is a choice.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for watching, and we hope you have a wonderful week.
Oh, by the way, Lloyd, here's my apology, dude. Are you reading me? Are you hearing me? This is what I think, dude.
You have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.